Game ideas turn to concepts. Today, those with the emblem of fire, a fighting title separate from the Smash Bros. Entities. For Switch, not Xbox or PlayStation. Time for the new game creation. Ooh, bars, bit. One of Nintendo's most popular franchises, Fire Emblem hit a bit of resurgence following the arrival of Fire Emblem Awakening, which started the so-called waifu era. With the new Switch title's announcement just around the corner, I wanted to create a concept for a potential future Fire Emblem fighting game. And no, don't say just play Smash, because the concept I have is nothing close to Smash, and you'll see that very soon. Currently, there are 15 main games, including the remakes, with the Switch title becoming the 16th title. All the main games stick to the original concept. It's a turn-based strategy game where you take on different maps in each chapter to complete a certain objective, and your decisions affect more than whether you win or lose a map. It also affects the lives of your units, although now you can play casual mode, which returns dead units. It's basically easy mode. As far as spin-off titles go, there are 4. Arcania Saga, which I won't lie, I know nothing about. Heroes, which is an extremely popular mobile game, which includes characters across all titles. Warriors, which is your standard Dynasty Warrior style beat 'em up with characters mainly from Awakening and Fates. And then there's Tokyo Mirage Session. We're gonna leave that one alone. On a personal level, so far I've played through Fates, Awakening, Echoes, Blazing Sword, and I'm currently on Binding Sword, and I have Sacred Stones lined up for right after. And I play Heroes a decent amount of time in my spare time, so I'm not what you would call a Fire Emblem Lord. See what I did there? Lord. And that's a class in the game. Too corny? Alright, I'll move on. So yeah, I'm not one you would call one with the emblem, but I'm getting there. So now that we have the basics out the way, let's go ahead and craft this new game. The first thing we really need to look at is the amount of content the game would have. Being a fighting game, it would need a story mode, an online and local battle mode, arcade mode, aesthetic customization, ultimate attack, special attacks, the basics. But I feel like it should also have a game-specific mode that would allow it to stand out from other fighters, like an addictive mini-game mode or something like that. Just another mode that would have it separate from like the other Tekkens and Street Fighters, Blaze Blues, Dragon Ball Fighters, like games like that. Which if you have an idea on what that could look like, feel free to drop that below. The game's story could go one of two ways. One option is to create a story that's kind of similar to Heroes or the Fate Stay series, where there's a war of sorts going on for an ultimate prize, and there are summoners around the world calling the strongest, most noteworthy Fire Emblem heroes to aid them in their quest. The amount of summoners would depend on the roster size, but I'd say we'd have, like for example, some summoner characters like 2 different members of royalty from 2 different kingdoms, a wanderer, a religious figure, a common person, a teenager, etc. You'd play through each chapter of the story with a different summoner and their different heroes as the story progresses forward. Originally, I had it to where you picked a summoner and played that way, but then I'd be making a Fire Emblem version of Shadow the Hedgehog, where you have all these different endings, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to scrap that idea. Plus, there should be a way where you can play with the different characters throughout the regular story without having to play through it multiple times. With this option, there's also potential to see interactions between different Fire Emblem heroes that we would never have seen before because they hail from different games. Now for the second option, it's kind of like Xenoverse and Kingdom Hearts. I'd say take the create a character route where you're in a different universe, right? And you're fighting the main boss and their lackeys, and they obtain a way to travel through space and time to gather different gems, which would allow them to craft the ultimate weapon back in the original universe where y'all came from. Essentially, you would travel through each world trying to stop the boss while teaming up with different Fire Emblem heroes during their own quests, like from the original games, giving you insight to the original game stories while also keeping things fresh. In this way, you can still play with all characters in the story mode. Also, there would be opportunity for new environments with each world, whereas the first option, you would be traversing through the same world. However, in this option, there would not be an opportunity to see any unique character interactions because everybody that would be interacting with each other would be from the same game, so we'd have already seen it before. But those are my 2 main options for story mode. If you want to come up with a story option of your own, that'd be interesting. Drop it in the comments. You know what to do. Now this right here, this is the most important part. As far as the story gameplay would go, I got, again, 2 options. Either you stick to the original concept, where you play through different maps, positioning you and your colleagues to fight different enemies, and if you engage an enemy, it would trigger a battle which you could fight through manually instead of watching the CPUs fight. You can have items to heal before fights and after fights to boost your attack, defense, heal you, things like that. This option sticks more to the original game in terms of how the story gameplay will work, but the other option for story gameplay would kind of be similar to Naruto Broken Bond or Fire Emblem Echoes in a way, in which you would travel through a somewhat vast world to get where you want to go, and running into an enemy would trigger a battle, and then you can still have items, for attack and defense and health and all that as well. I'd say this one more like Broken Bond, but maybe not as vast a world. Like Broken Bond's world is pretty big, so it probably wouldn't be that big, but I would still take this route. I mean, honestly, they're both pretty decent routes, but I don't know. They would have to decide. As far as the actual gameplay would go, it'd be something similar probably to Soul Calibur. This is because Fire Emblem characters mainly fight with their weapons alone, and Soul Calibur is like the closest game that I know of that I could see having a game style that would fit well with this idea. I see mainly the game having a 1v1 kind of fighting style, but I think there's opportunity for 2v2 as well. But there would need to be a discussion about 2v2, like with how the second character would impact the game. Like, would they have an offensive or defensive assist? Would they help you with a different ability? Like, what would they have? Like, would they provide a boost? Like, how would the second fighter impact the game? The roster for this game really depends on what they would do visually for the game. I did say the game, again, should be like Soul Calibur, so in that case, the game really should have 3D models, which I think could allow for more characters, but if the game is 2D, then there would definitely be less characters. So I would probably say shoot for 3D. As far as what characters to add, there's a lot of noteworthy characters throughout the Fire Emblem series, but I say we probably add 2 or 3 really popular characters from each game, because in Warriors, again, it was mainly characters from just Fates and Awakening, which is okay because I understand that's like New Age Fire Emblem, but there are plenty great characters throughout the series that could be really chosen for this game. You could even use heroes like to help with polling on some stacks to see what the most popular characters from each title are. I'm not saying you use that to decide what characters are going to be in there. I'm just saying you use that as a reference. And then I already know majority of the characters would be considered that would be chosen would probably wield swords, which is okay as long as they have some sort of distinction from each other. But there should also be a lot of characters who use other weapons as well, like a bow, a staff, lance, magic, things like that. So I target the roster number from anywhere between 30 to 40 characters, depending on who's added and what can be done within the game. Somewhat similar to Tekken 7, I'd say the customization for the characters should be mainly aesthetic. I'd say it'd have different color palettes for full different outfits at the start of the game, then have unlockable accessories that you can unlock throughout the game. As for special attacks, I'm not too sure. I think the ultimate attack should be limited to when you have low health, or it should be once per round, but special attacks will probably be something more like a unique attack that each character has rather than an automated combo move that you can trigger, because I don't really want a special attack that's an automated combo move and an ultimate attack that's an automated combo move. I think we should probably just stick with one and have your special attack be more of like a unique triggered attack. For music, it's actually pretty simple. You'd add some slightly modified older game tracks while also having some completely original sounds. It's kind of like Mania. You know how the first map is usually like sounds basically like the original game, and then the second map has more updated new music. And for DLC, you can make new maps to go through, like side stories, and then there could be new characters through DLC. However, with the new characters, it would definitely be characters that couldn't make the original roster on time. No way would this game pull a Dragon Ball FighterZ and have characters ready to go but hold them back as DLC. I hate when a game does that. If you have content ready, add it in the game. Don't sit there and try to hold it so you can have more money, bro. Add it in the game, man. Make the $60 game worth $60. But I'm gonna say that for another time, all right? As far as for what the direction of the game could take, I could definitely see it ending up becoming an E-League attraction, but the game really needs to be a great standalone game because not everybody wants to go online and play all day and compete. So the game would really need to have enough content and replayability that would appeal to those who don't really want to compete at a high level, which is fine. And there's also a bit of worry about the sheer number of players the game would have being Switch only. I know Smash Bros doesn't really suffer from this. That's because it's an extremely popular title that everybody knows and loves. And Fire Emblem is definitely gaining more popularity with each title. And I'm not saying it doesn't have a big fandom, because it does, but it's not on that level of Smash Bros yet. So being a Switch exclusive might not yield the best results as possible. I'm not saying it won't really yield good results, but having it on multiple platforms might yield better results. But obviously that would never happen. So I did a bit of math, and considering the past few Fire Emblem titles plus what Smash Bros sold, I'd say this game would probably sell near 350,000 to 400,000 physical copies in its first week. I'd say near 400,000 for Japan, near 360,000 for America, and mid to low 300,000s for Europe. Again, this is not taking into account the digital purchases, and I just did the first weeks because when I started to look at the years, it got a little wacky. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just look at it what it was for the first week. Also, if a game like this were to ever happen, I wouldn't see it happening for like at least another 3 years or so, considering they're just about to release a new Fire Emblem title and Smash Bros is just around the corner. So I'd say probably 2.5 to 3 years would be the time length before a game like this really could have its shine. But at the end of the day, this is just a game concept video. If you really liked this, you already know what to do, man. This is everybody's favorite part on YouTube. Please go ahead and like the video. Comment down below your ideas on what you thought about this idea, man. What you thought, and comment down your own ideas about what you think it could look like as well. If you again enjoyed this, I'll make a few more videos like this throughout the summer. I'm not gonna have like a schedule per se, but I'll just drop them randomly every now and then. But yeah, definitely check out the channel, and if you like what you see, subscribe. But other than that, I'm out. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you did, deuces.